The Diamond Guardian. In the heart of Benue, a tranquil village, nestled between lush forests and rolling hills, lay a secret that the villagers guided with reverence and awe. At the center of this secret was Mount Zukogig, a towering mountain shrouded in mist and mystery. Legend spoke of a mighty snake named Ekuma, who resided within the depths of the mountain. Ekuma was no ordinary serpent. Its scales gleamed with a luminous emerald hue, and atop its head sat a crown of radiant diamond, each one sparkling brighter than the last. For generations, Ekuma had watched over the village, a silent guardian, ensuring their safety and prosperity. The villagers believed that as long as Ekuma remained undisturbed, their lands would flourish and their people would thrive. They offered humble tributes of food and songs, leaving them at the foot of the mountain as tokens of their gratitude. Life in the village was harmonious. Crops grew abundantly. The rains came in due season, and peace prevailed. The villagers knew that Ekuma's presence was a blessing, and they respected the sacred bond they shared with the great snake. However, word of Ekuma's diamonds spread beyond the village. Tales of the snake with a crown of jewels reached the ears of foreign treasure hunters, men whose hearts were filled with greed and ambition. They saw the diamonds not as a symbol of protection, but as riches to be seized. One humid afternoon, the tranquility of the village was shattered by the arrival of these outsiders. They came in jeeps, their faces set with determination and greed. The villagers watched in fear as the foreigners disembarked, their eyes gleaming with the promise of wealth. "Where is the mountain?" one of them demanded, his voice harsh and impatient. The villagers remained silent, their faces a mixture of defiance and fear. An elder, Okoro, stepped forward, his withered face staring. "The mountain is sacred. The snake Ekuma protects us. You must leave." The foreigners laughed, a cold, meatless sound that echoed through the village. "We have no interest in your legend, old man. We want the diamond. Show us the way, or we will find it ourselves." Okoro stood his ground, but the invaders were relentless. They pushed past him and began their ascent up Mount Zukogig, armed with tools and weapons. The villagers watched helplessly, their prayers for Ekuma's protection growing even more desperate. As the foreigner climbed higher, the air grew thick with tension. They reached the entrance of the cave where Ekuma dwelled, their torches casting flickering shadows on the stone walls. The leader, a boring man with a scar across his face, raised his pickaxe, ready to strike at the source of the diamonds. Suddenly, the ground trembled, and a low, menacing hiss echoed through the cave. The foreigners froze, their torches waving in their grasps. From the darkness emerged Ekuma, its emerald scale was shimmering, the diamonds on his head casting a brilliant light that blinded the intruder. The leader took a step back, fear flickering in his eyes. "Stay back!" he shouted, but his voice trembled. Ekuma's eyes, glowing with an ancient intelligence, fixed on the intruder. With a swift, powerful strike, the snake lashed out, sending the leader sprawling. The other foreigners, now gripped by the terror, turned to flee. But the cave seemed to close in around them. The path back to the village obscured by the snake's massive form. Ekuma coiled its body, blocking their escape. It is growing louder, more threatening. Down in the village, the people waited in anxious silence, their eyes fixed on the mountain. They knew that their fate and the fate of their guardian hung in the balance. The foreigner resolved, shaken by their initial encounter with Ekuma, quickly turned to desperate determination. The leader, bruised but unyielding, rallied his men. "We came for those diamonds, and we won't leave without them," he barked, his voice echoing through the cave. They regrouped, brandishing their weapons and torches, ready to confront the serpent once more. Ekuma, sensing their renewed aggression, reared back, its diamond-encrusted head gleaming ominously. The snake eyes, twin orbs of deep, ancient wisdom, watched the intruder with a mix of anger and pity. It knew these men were driven by greed, unaware of the power and protection the diamond symbolized. The leader motioned for his men to spread out, hoping to encircle Ekuma. As they moved cautiously, the ground beneath them seemed to pulse with the heartbeat of the mountain, a reminder of Ekuma's deep connection to this land. The air grew thick with tension, every breath laden with anticipation and fear. One of the treasure hunters, a weary man named Jack, spotted a narrow ledge above Ekuma, potentially offering a vantage point. "Up there!" he shouted, scrambling up the rocks. Another followed, and soon a few of them were clambering up the side of the cave, seeking an advantage. Ekuma watched their movement with keen eyes, sensing their intention. With a swift, fluid motion, it lunged at the nearest climber, knocking him off balance. The man screamed as he fell, his torch clattering to the ground and extinguishing, leaving a patch of darkness in its wake. Undeterred, the others pressed on. Jack reached the ledge and pulled himself up, panting heavily. From his vantage point, he could see the diamond more clearly now, each one a beacon of pure light. Greed surged through him. Pushing aside his fear, he reached into his bag and pulled out a rope, preparing to descend towards Ekuma's head. Meanwhile, the villagers below could hear the faint echoes of the struggle within the mountain. Okoro led the group in prayer, their voices a soft murmur carried by the wind. They prayed for Ekuma's strength, for their protector to prevail against the intruder. Inside the cave, Ekuma struck again, its tail whipping through the air and knocking another man to the ground. The leader, seeing Jack progress, shouted, "Hurry! Get those diamonds!" Jack lowered himself slowly, trying to maintain his balance. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat a reminder of the perilous task he had undertaken. As he neared Ekuma's head, he reached out, his fingers trembling with anticipation. But Ekuma was not to be outdone. With a sudden, lightning-quick motion, the snake reeled up and snapped at the rope, severing it cleanly. Jack screamed as he fell, his hand feeling for a grip that wasn't there. He hit the ground hard, groaning in pain. Seeing Jack's failure, the leader decided to take a more direct approach. He grabbed a stick of dynamite from his pack, intending to blast his way through. "Stand back," he ordered, lightening the fuse. The cave seemed to hold his breath as the fuse sizzled, the leader throwing the dynamite towards Ekuma. In the last moment, Ekuma's eyes flared with a brilliant light. The diamonds on his head pulsed, emanating a radiant glow that enveloped the entire cave. The dynamite exploded, the force of the blast rocking the mountain. Dust and debris filled the air, and for a moment everything was a chaos. The villagers below felt the tremor, their prayer intensifying. When the dust settled, the foreigners were shattered, disoriented and bruised. The leader struggled to his feet, looking around with wild eyes. Ekuma remained uncharted, his diamond crown shining brighter than ever. The blast had not harmed the ancient guardian. Instead, it seemed to have strengthened it. Desperation gave way to madness. The leader charged at Ekuma, brandishing a knife. Ekuma watched him calmly, then struck with precise, devastating force, knocking the knife from his hand and sending him sprawling. The remaining foreigners, realizing that they were no match for Ekuma, began to retreat. Panic set in, and they stumbled over each other in their haste to escape the cave. Ekuma ears followed them, a sound of both warning and mercy. Outside, the villagers watched as the intruders emerged, battered and broken. Okoro stepped forward, his eyes filled with a mixture of relief and stern warning. "Leave now," he said, his voice commanding, "and never return." The foreigners, beaten and humiliated, staggered back to their vehicles. As they drove away, the villagers gathered at the foot of Mount Zikogig, offering prayers of thanks to Ekuma. The mountain stood tall and silent, its guardian returning to the depths, diamond shining with a light that was both a blessing and a warning. The villagers knew that the bond with their protector had been tested, but it remained unbroken. They vowed to keep the secret of Ekuma and its diamonds even closer to their hearts, protecting their sacred guardian just as it had protected them. As foreigners, bruised and humiliated, trucked back to their vehicles, their dreams of victory shattered by the unyielding power of Ekuma. But their ordeal was far from over. As they speed away from the village, the skies darkened ominously, and a storm began to brew. Thunder rumbled through the heavens, and lightning spilled the sky, casting a real shadow over the landscape. Their vehicles struggled against the torrential downpour, the path becoming treacherous with mud and debris. The leader, still driven by greed and anger, pushed the convoy forward, but fate had other plan. A bolt of lightning struck a nearby tree, sending it crashing onto the road and blocking their paths. Panic set in as the storm grew more intense, the wind howling with a fury that seemed almost sentient. Desperation turned to terror as one of the vehicles skidded off the road and plunged into a ravine, disappearing into the swirling darkness below. The many foreigners, realizing the futility of their quest and the wrath of the land they had violated, abandoned their vehicles and attempted to flee on foot, but the storm was relentless, and one by one, they were claimed by the elements. Back in the village, the people watched the storm with a mixture of awe and reverence. They knew that Ekuma and the spirit of the mountain were exacting their justice on the intruders. As the storm subsided, the villagers gathered at the foot of Mount Zikogig, offering prayers of thanks to their guardian. Ekuma had protected them once more, its presence a constant reminder of the delicate balance between man and nature. The villagers celebrated their safety and the enduring power of Ekuma. They sang songs of gratitude, their voices rising in harmony, a testament to their unbreakable bond with the ancient serpent. The diamond remained on Ekuma's head, untouchable and sacred, a beacon of hope and protection. As they rejoiced, the others spoke of the importance of respecting the natural world and the spirit that dwelled within it. They shared stories of Ekuma's bravery and the lesson learned from the foreigner's tragic fate. The village sense of unity and reverence for their guardian deepened, ensuring that the secret of Mount Zikogig would remain protected for generations to come. Thank you for joining us on this thrilling journey. To watch more captivating stories and stay updated, please subscribe to our channels. Don't forget to watch our videos, share them with your friends and family, Like our content and comment below with your thoughts and what you have learned from this tale. Your support helps us bring you more amazing stories and keep our community thriving. Thank you.